We start this chapter by implying that an organization structure can have significant effects on its members. What may those effects be? A review of the evidence leads to a pretty clear conclusion. It can't be generalized. Not everyone prefers the freedom and flexibility of organic structures. Different factors stand out in different structures as well. In this lecture, we will discuss how organizational designs influence employees' behavior. Let's get started. In highly formalized, heavily structured, mechanistic organizations, the levels of fairness in formal policies and procedures is a very important predictor of satisfaction. In more personal, individually adaptive organic organizations, employees value interpersonal justice more. Some people are more productive and satisfied when work tasks are standardized and ambiguity is minimized. That is, in mechanistic structures. So, any discussion of the effect of organizational design on employee behavior has to address individual differences. To do so, let's consider employee preference for work specialization, span of control, and centralization. The evidence generally indicates that work specialization contributes to higher employee productivity, but at the price of job satisfaction. However, work specialization is not an unending source of higher productivity. Problems start to surface and productivity begins to suffer when the human dichotomies of doing repetitive and narrow tasks overtake the economies of specialization. As the workforce has become more highly educated and desirous of jobs that are intrinsically rewarding, we seem to reach the point at which productivity begins to decline as a function of specialization more quickly than in the past. While decreased productivity often promotes companies to end oversight and inspection roles, the better answer may be to recognize work functions and accountability. There is still a segment of the workforce that prefers the routine and repetitiveness of highly specialized jobs. Some individuals want work that makes minimal intellectual demands and provides the security of routine. For them, high work specialization is a source of job satisfaction. The question is whether they represent 2% of the workforce or 52%. Given that some self-selection operates in the choice of careers, we may conclude that negative behavioral outcomes from high specialization are most likely to surface in professional jobs occupied by individuals with high needs for personal growth and diversity. It's probably safe to say no evidence supports a relationship between span of control and employee satisfaction or performance, although it's intuitively attractive that large spans may lead to higher employee performance because they provide more distant supervision and more opportunity for personal initiative. Research fails to support this notion. Some people like to be left alone, and others prefer the security of a boss who is quickly available at all times. Consistent with several of the consistency theories of leadership discussed in Chapter 12, we would expect factors such as employees' experiences and abilities, and the degree of structure in their tasks to explain when wide or narrow spans of control are likely to contribute to performance and job satisfaction. However, some evidence indicates a manager's job satisfaction increases as the number of employees supervised increases. We find fairly strong evidence linking centralization and job satisfaction. In general, less centralized organizations have a greater amount of autonomy, and autonomy appears positively related to job satisfaction. But again, while one employee may value freedom, another may find autonomous environments may be some kind of ambiguous. So we can draw one obvious insight. People don't select employers randomly. They are attracted to or selected by and stay with organizations that suit their personal characteristics. Job candidates who prefer predictability are likely to seek out and take employment in mechanistic structures, and those who want autonomy are more likely to end up in organic structures. Thus, the effect of structure on employee behavior is undoubtedly reduced when the selection process facilitates proper matching of individual characteristics with organizational characteristics. Furthermore, companies should strive to establish, promote, and maintain the unique identity of their structures, since skilled employees may quit as a result of dramatic changes. Research suggests national culture influences the preference for structure. Organizations that operate with people from high power distance cultures, such as Greece, France, and most of Latin America, often find their employees are much more accepting of mechanistic structures than are employees from lower power distance countries. So consider cultural differences along with individual differences when predicting how structure will affect employee performance and satisfaction. Finally, the changing landscape of organizational structure designs has implications for the individual proceeding on a career path. Research with managers in Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States indicate that employees who weathered downsizing and resulting hybrid organizational structures considered their future career prospects diminished. While this may or may not have been correct, their thinking shows how organizational culture does affect the employees and thus must be carefully designed. The theme of this chapter is that an organization's internal structure contributes to explaining and predicting behavior. That is, in addition to individual and group factors, a structural relationship in which people work have a bearing on employee attitudes, on behavior. What's the basis for this argument? To the degree that an organization's structure reduces ambiguity for employees and clarifies concerns, it shapes their attitudes and facilities and motivates them to higher levels of performance, as we can see in this figure. It summarizes what we have discussed in this whole chapter. That's all for this lecture. See you next time.